So you finally made it. You got the job, you've been working there 6 months to a year, and now you're beginning to realize that you want more. At this point, you're trying to figure out new ways to create your own path so that you can grow and advance within your career. Now is the time for you to prove yourself to the company. You want to take the lead on new projects when the opportunity presents itself. You want to bring new ideas to the table so that you can prove that you are creative. You want to take on more responsibility. And most importantly, you want to make sure your manager is aware of your professional goals. Trust me, this is going to take a lot of time, this is going to take a lot of effort, and this is going to take a lot of dedication. But the outcome will definitely be income.
As you're starting your career and looking for ways where you can really make an impact in the real estate industry and standing out maybe in your first year, I think there's a lot of ways, and I'm sure people will note how you can get engaged in your community, depending on if Chicago or other cities. But one of the ways that I think you can really stand out is being prepared. And when I first started my position with Ernst and Young, I was traveling every week. First week in Atlanta, second week in Virginia, the third week in Denver, and I was back and forth. So it was quite hard to get to know people in the office. But every Friday that I was back, I was trying to have lunches with people or coffee chats. And as when you're trying to have those maybe informal questions, those things can go really a long way when you start to build that comfort with your team. So as much as you can, work hard, but more importantly, get to know people and try to connect and make an impact in those first 90 days. Kind of show your diligence, and I think it'll go far for you.
First, raise your hand to get involved. And that's inside work and outside of work. You always want to show that you're eagerly wanting to get involved in some way. And that I think really exemplifies your motivation and excitement to learn and grow. Provide recommendations in a work setting, even if you're not asked to. So it shows you're connecting the dots and they want to help. And I think that's very important, especially from a managerial standpoint. If someone is looking to provide their insight and then asking for that feedback afterwards.
Project manager at LivCore. One of the questions that I constantly have is, how do I carve out my own career path? What steps do I need to take in order to be successful in my career? I don't think there's a good answer, but one thing that I've done that has been very helpful for me is I've had conversations with people, asking people what they've done, what would they do differently, how did they get to where they were, and how did they figure that out? Asking those questions makes it easier. It also makes it relatable. Most of us are trying to figure things out. Most of us are feeling around in the dark. And so an important part that I think is good to remember is that you're not alone, and that there are many people, especially in real estate, trying to figure out how they carve that path out. And so if you ask those questions to people you admire or people that are in positions that you think you want to be in, you may find yourself being able to answer that question and carve out your path a little bit better than you did before.
When thinking about your career path and carving it out, and specifically when taking advice on your career path, remember that everyone is biased to their own personal history. The world is complex and there is no single path to success. Look for patterns that are repeated across many successful people, not single stories.
When you're starting out in your career, one of the few things that is fully within your control is the energy and effort you bring to your work. Arriving early, staying late, really going above and beyond are some of the things that really stand out to me when I look at young professionals within my organization and organizations I've worked with.
I found that there's one way in particular that can help you make a name for yourself, and that is to take on volunteer tasks beyond just your day-to-day activities. Now, obviously, first things first, you were hired for a certain reason to do certain tasks, and make sure you're doing good work on those tasks and spending the proper time on it. However, there will come a time when you'll get a request in your inbox, or an office manager, or maybe even a C-suite executive might say, I need someone to do this new project or to volunteer for project A, B, and C. And this may be beyond your normal scope of work. I highly, highly, highly recommend that when those opportunities come up to look into it, and if it's something that you can fit in your schedule and it's something that you are interested in, volunteer for that task right away. The higher up the ask comes from, whether it be your head of office or perhaps, like I mentioned before, C-suite executive, the higher up, the faster you should be saying yes to that volunteer project. This can particularly help you when it comes for year-end reviews or when it comes time to discuss bonuses or promotions. Everyone's going to be talking about their normal day-to-day tasks that you're assigned to do, but will take you over the edge above and beyond is talking about that time you volunteered for project ABC and you worked with some people you maybe hadn't in the past, and that's something that you can do to really help separate yourself.